Butter has long been at the center of the nutritional fat debate, once branded as a major dietary villain responsible for rising heart disease rates across much of the developed world. For decades, public health campaigns urged people to switch from butter to margarine or vegetable oils, following the prevailing belief that saturated fat raised cholesterol and directly caused cardiovascular disease. Supermarket shelves filled with low-fat spreads and butter substitutes, while butter itself became a symbol of indulgence or poor dietary choices. But as with many foods that were demonized in the latter half of the 20th century, butter, particularly butter from grass-fed cows, is now being reevaluated through a more nuanced lens. Rather than being a dangerous relic of pre-health conscious eating, pure butter, when consumed in moderation, appears to offer health-promoting compounds that may have been overlooked in earlier analyses. One of the key arguments in butter's redemption is the presence of conjugated linoleic acid, or CLA, a unique fatty acid naturally found in the fat of ruminant animals. CLA has been studied for its potential anti-inflammatory, anti-carcinogenic, and fat-metabolizing properties. It may also play a role in supporting immune function and reducing body fat, particularly abdominal fat, in some populations. Importantly, CLA levels are significantly higher in butter derived from grass-fed cows compared to conventionally raised animals fed a grain-based diet. This difference is not trivial. Grass-fed butter can contain up to 5 times more CLA than grain-fed butter, giving it a distinct nutritional edge and making it more than just a source of flavor or texture. In addition to CLA, grass-fed butter is also richer in omega-3 fatty acids, particularly alpha-linolenic acid, ELA, which supports heart and brain health. Although butter is not as dense in omega-3s as fatty fish or flaxseed, the presence of these anti-inflammatory fats in a traditionally animal-based product is noteworthy, and again, dependent on the cow's diet. Butter from pastured animals also contains more fat-soluble vitamins, such as vitamin A in its active form, retinol, vitamin K2, and vitamin D. Vitamin K2, in particular, plays a critical role in calcium metabolism and has been linked to reduced arterial calcification and stronger bones, making it especially relevant in the context of cardiovascular and skeletal health. One of butter's most misunderstood components is its saturated fat content. While it's true that butter is around 63% saturated fat, current research no longer supports the idea that saturated fat alone causes heart disease. In fact, the risk associated with saturated fat intake appears to be far more dependent on overall dietary context than on the nutrient in isolation. Diets that are low in sugar, high in fiber, and rich in whole foods tend to mitigate or even eliminate the supposed harm of moderate saturated fat consumption. Moreover, certain saturated fats found in butter, such as butyric acid, may offer benefits of their own. Butyric acid, a short-chain fatty acid, has anti-inflammatory effects in the gut and supports colonocyte health, potentially playing a role in reducing the risk of colorectal cancer and supporting healthy digestion. Butter also scores high in the satiety department. Its rich texture and mouthfeel are partly due to its high fat content, which helps slow gastric emptying and leaves people feeling fuller for longer. This satiating quality can be helpful in controlling appetite and reducing the urge to snack or overeat, especially when butter is used in small amounts to enhance the flavor and enjoyment of whole foods like steamed vegetables, sweet potatoes, or eggs. Unlike ultra-processed fat-free spreads, which often contain additives and emulsifiers, real butter offers a clean, simple ingredient list, cream, and sometimes salt. That purity appeals not only to those seeking better flavor, but also to those trying to avoid industrially processed oils and artificial preservatives. Butter's return to favor is also supported by broader cultural and scientific shifts away from low-fat dietary dogma. Today's leading dietary patterns, whether Mediterranean, ancestral, or ketogenic, increasingly emphasize fat quality over fat quantity. Natural fats, especially those found in traditional whole foods, are no longer seen as inherently unhealthy. Instead, the real threats to metabolic and cardiovascular health are being redefined. Trans fats, excess added sugars, refined seed oils, and highly processed carbohydrates are now recognized as far more damaging than moderate intakes of natural saturated fats like those found in butter. Of course, portion control still matters. Butter is calorie-dense, with about 100 calories per tablespoon, and should be used in moderation as part of a balanced diet. It's not a superfood to be consumed indiscriminately, nor is it suitable for every individual, especially those with specific lipid disorders or extremely low-fat dietary needs. But within the context of a whole food, nutrient-rich eating pattern, butter, especially grass-fed and minimally processed, can be part of a healthy lifestyle, adding flavor, satiety, and essential nutrients without the baggage of outdated dietary fear. In a world increasingly concerned with food transparency, nutrient density, and metabolic resilience, Butter's story serves as a powerful reminder that not all traditional fats are harmful, and in fact, some may have been unfairly scapegoated. Butter, once cast as a cardiovascular hazard, is now re-emerging as a respected, natural fat source that supports not only culinary tradition but also nutritional integrity. For those willing to revisit old assumptions and embrace more current, evidence-based perspectives, butter has earned its place back on the table, not as a cheat, but as a wholesome and functional ingredient that bridges the gap between flavor and health.